What is going on, my St. Louis City fam? I'm your girl Kelly from Evolve, here to give you the rundown on what happened in St. Louis City government this week, and I'm gonna get right into it because this is what you need to know. So, first, did y'all hear about the brother that was being processed at the city jail, uh, allegedly for domestic assault? He was released because he tested positive for COVID-19. Um, well, if you didn't know that, now you know. And so this issue it was discussed during this week's public safety committee meeting. Um, and before I get into that, though, I want to make it known that this guy he has been apprehended and he is currently in custody now. Um, so to kind of discuss this situation, Public Safety Director Dan Isom, he was present during this committee meeting, as well as the Commissioner of Corrections, Jennifer Clemens Abdullah. So both of them were present to clarify a couple of things. So number one, this is not in any policy manual or any part of, any kind of a protocol, okay, y'all? So this ain't right, and this was not supposed to happen. Point blank, period. And number two, they wanted to clarify that quote, and this is, I'm paraphrasing a little bit from Mr. Dan Isom here. And he said, there were unique circumstances resulting in poor decision making, which led to this release. AKA, y'all, this ain't happening all the time, okay? That's what the brother said. So, what's next, right? Currently, there is an investigation taking place to really get an understanding of like what the hell happened, and to make sure it never happens again, because this is not a good look, y'all. I mean, if I was taking shots, playing that shot game, when you hear a certain word over and over again, the word embarrassment. If I was playing that shot game, watching that with the word embarrassment, I would have been, yeah, I would have been drunk as hell. So, yeah, not good. The second thing y'all need to know, corrections officers in the city of St. Louis feel like the Rodney Dangerfield of pretty much all the buckets that fall under the public safety department. They gets no respect, y'all. And so there was a corrections officer, Mr. Alexander. He literally, during the public safety committee meeting, he literally went in, but he did it in in a very professional, eloquent way. He was dropping bars, y'all. But it was just so well written. Like, everybody was just like, well, damn. Like, because he was going off, but it was just in a very professional, eloquent way. So shout out to him for being able to do that, because that's a skill. Um, so so what's the issue, and kind of what is he and his fellow corrections officers like? What are they requesting? What do they need? So first he was just like, yo, we get shown no love. He said the only time we get recognized is when something goes wrong, and that's not cool. Um Something else he also mentioned was, they need more pay. From my understanding, the city of St. Louis, their corrections officers get paid the least amount when you're looking at across the board what correction officers make throughout the region. Um, so that's not a good look, obviously. Um, also, he expressed they should get new uniforms and new equipment, at least on an annual basis. He said that he and his fellow corrections officers, they got to deal with a whole lot of stuff, uniforms getting ripped up, in altercations with detainees, people peeing on them and throwing up on them and all this other stuff. And, they don't get any new uniforms, but, other folks within the public safety department, your police and fire and stuff, they get new uniforms, but the COs don't. So he expressed that. And also, they need better training, because they dealing with some real stuff in those walls. And he said, yeah, we deserve better training to be able to handle those situations. So what was the response? The corrections commissioner Clemens Abdullah. So first I want to say with her, y'all, she hasn't been in this role that long. So it ain't on it yeah. I don't know, maybe she's been there for 90 days. So I just want to say that so people are clear that she just got in this role. Um but she was just like, yeah, it's facts. What the brother spitting is straight facts. The older people present thanked Mr. Alexander for his service as well as other corrections officers. You know, they really apologized for, you know, everything that he had expressed that they continue to deal with. Um, and they agreed straight up that this is completely unacceptable and it has to change. They did express though that the personnel department has the upper hand when it comes to all of these issues that were raised by Mr. Alexander, and they kind of have the final say when it comes to a lot of that stuff. However, you know, they mentioned that they will really do their best to think through and really come up with some solutions and ways on how they can advocate to make sure that, you know, what's requested and what's needed by the corrections office staff, like they get it. So, you know, and there is, you know, some potential for hope in that regard, some change and figuring out how to work with the personnel department on these much needed changes, because the leadership in that department, it's changing. It's changed. So the director of that department, he retired December 1st of 2021, after being in that role for 17 years. So, you know, with the change in leadership, there's always other changes that come with that. So, you know, there's some hope there. And then the final thing that y'all need to know from what went down this past week in the city of St. Louis, the Public Safety Committee announced their organizational recommendations for folks that will receive some coins from crime prevention funds this year. So if folks aren't aware, there is a grant available every year for nonprofit organizations that serve at-risk youth, and participate in some type of programming targeting them, and, you know, ultimately it's considered like crime prevention programming, and engaging those youth in some productive activities or what have you. So this funding is available every year. So I'm just saying that if y'all didn't know, now you know. So there were 14 organizations that received this coin this year. And so I'm going to read y'all these organizations just so you know. So St. Louis Story Stitchers, Good Journey Development, Prison Performing Arts, Harambe Youth Training, Live for Life Gym, the 22nd Judicial Circuit Family Court, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis, MOCAN, Educational Institute, Mission St. Louis, Riverview West Florissant, Young Voices with Action, Wyman Center, Throwing and Growing, and the Gateway Region YMCA. So the dollar amounts that they receive range from like $25,000 up to $100,000. And so there was around $15,000 left over after what was requested, you know, by those organizations. And that coin will be used to work with organizations that didn't make the cut this year to make sure that, you know, they can submit a better application next year. And also that coin will be used for workshops before the application for next year drops, so folks understand the purpose of the funding as well as just that overall process that they have with the awarding of these funds. So yeah, y'all. And then the last thing I'm really going to mention to you all is our legislative corner. So what are some bills that were passed this week that y'all need to know? So there's one bill passed that I wanted to highlight to folks just so that they were aware. Board Bill 143, sponsored by Alderman Boyd, was passed, which approves a redevelopment plan for the 4201 Geraldine Avenue area. That's all I have for you this week, y'all. Please stay safe out there, and you will see me soon. Peace.